There's a lot to break down with what's happening today specifically. So we have alleged victim number 4 on the stand in this racketeering, sex trafficking, prostitution case. This is somebody named Mia, using a pseudonym, testified to being a personal assistant to Sean Combs, that she was abused by him in the past, that she was sexually assaulted by him. And yet today is a continuation of the cross-examination by Sean Combs' defense counsel, Brian Steele. Really questioning her about her resume, past messages she sent to Sean Combs, a lawsuit against Sean Combs, when she worked with prosecutors, really going to the heart of her credibility. So I want to get now a first-hand perspective of this testimony and this cross-examination from Elizabeth Millner, Law&Crime's reporter who's been in that courtroom every single day of testimony, including today. Elizabeth, so good to see you. I want you to lay out for us what the cross-examination looked like. But before we even do that, there's one thing I want to get to specifically. There was a large back and forth last week regarding a video. It might have been a happy birthday video that was going to come into evidence, that wasn't going to come into evidence, the back and forth between the prosecution and the defense that, the defense says, oh, we just saw this video, we just got it. The prosecution, I think, was, raised an objection that you didn't give us advance notice of this. And it goes to the heart of her credibility, the way she's speaking in this video. Real quick, before we move on to the rest of the cross-examination, what is that video I'm talking about? And it was admitted into evidence today, right?
Yeah, it definitely was admitted into evidence today. I was a little kind of confused just about the video per se, because at first when they were kind of talking about the video, they were making it seem like Mia had gotten all these different happy birthday messages from not only herself, but also from loved ones of Diddy too. So I was thinking that it'd be kind of a compilation of just maybe some famous faces, those who are close to Diddy, all saying happy birthday. But for this video that we saw in court specifically, it was a present for Diddy's 44th birthday. And you can see Mia on camera, and it was interesting too, because the video that we saw in the gallery, it wasn't Mia's face blurred out. We really saw her her actual face, as we do while we're inside that courtroom. But as far as what she's saying on this video, she's applying lip gloss on this video, kind of getting ready for the camera. And then she calls Diddy things along the lines of he's a big inspiration. She blows a kiss to the camera and pretty much just says happy birthday to him. And so I think, yeah, to your point, Jesse, the defense was trying to have this video in because they say this is Mia's true demeanor. They say what she presented herself in or presented herself on as far as direct testimony goes isn't her true self, that she's kind of playing it up for the jury. But they wanted to introduce this video in pretty badly in order to kind of show that this is the real and true Mia, which is interesting too, because I think even as she's reading her text message she sends either to Diddy or somebody else, that she's kind of saying it in her true voice. She's not kind of speaking in like a meek, soft-toned kind of speech or anything. But for the most part, it was something that the defense definitely wanted in, and they were able to get that video in today.
Yeah, and I know there was a whole back and forth last week about, like you said, her affect. Is she really testifying in her true voice? But, other than just the substance of it, why are you wishing a happy birthday to a man that tormented you and abused you? Now, as she claims, sexually assaulted her. So I now want to go into the continuation of this cross-examination. There was a lot that was brought up. Everything from her resume, was she a strong leader who could speak up for herself? Past messages she sent to Sean Combs, the lawsuit that she filed against him, when she decided to work with prosecutors. Because I think the central theme is that she's only going after Sean Combs for what? Money? So talk to us about what was the substance of the cross-examination today.
Well, the substance of it overall, to your point, Jesse, was kind of all over the place. We were hearing about her resume. We were seeing a bunch of text messages. We were seeing a bunch of, I would say, a bunch of photos too. But even as far as just the start of it this morning, Mia still kind of presents herself in the same way, keeping her head down while she walks to the witness stand, just walks directly to the witness stand, doesn't make a look at the defense, doesn't look at us in the press, none of that. She just walks to the witness stand, sits down, and then the jury's brought in, and then they continue with her cross-examination. But even for the most part, while Brian Steele was continuing her cross-examination, he doesn't do things like other defense attorneys we've seen do. He doesn't say, hello, good morning, how is you? He didn't do any of that. He really just kind of got right into the exhibits, and then there was kind of an issue on whether or not this exhibit should be shown, and it was just like a it seemed like it was taking a little bit forever for things to pretty much get started this morning. But she was asked this morning, where did you attend university? Where'd you go to college? What was your GPA? So after your study abroad, you were an assistant to somebody, and Mia's responding yes to all of this. And then they bring up her resume. They literally showed her resume, obviously not with her real name or anything like that, but of course with Mia written on it. And I was just like, where is this going as far as why they're bringing up a resume that she did after she completed college and probably when she was applying for this job? Why are they bringing this into evidence? And so they talked about how in her specific bullet points under the descriptions for her job, how she catered to celebrity clients and always addressed their studio needs and kept inventory of all personal possessions, documentation, including passports. So they kind of brought it back to her direct testimony where she was explaining how she was trying to escape Diddy and how Diddy had kept hold of her passport. But Brian still asked her, when you said your passport was being held, that wasn't just your passport, it was everybody's passport. And Mia responded yes. Mia was asked, you take on responsibilities? She said true. You're a leader. She said, she kind of is pausing before she's answering this question, which I thought was pretty interesting because she was like, I don't know how you can really answer that. And then Brian still says, but you tell others to speak up for themselves. Mia says yes. Then we see an exhibit, kind of a zoomed in portion of Mia's resume, how she speaks 4 languages, how she has thick skin. And so I think what Brian Steele in the defense was trying to do was kind of use her resume in a way against her, where it's like, okay, you say you have thick skin, you say you can work these long hours without feeling overworked, and you say that you're this team player and team leader. And so then the defense kind of passes out those binders again with all the exhibits. And so we see Mia recognizing her text message. So those were moved into evidence. So we see text messages from Mia to Diddy first in December 27th of 2018. So this was after Mia was no longer working for Combs Enterprise. Mia says, "Merry Christmas. I love you so, so much." Diddy said, "Same to you." And he responded and sent that message 2 days after Mia sent her initial message. Then a week later, Mia says, "Happy New Year's." Then we see another text exhibit of a message from Mia. This text was also after Mia left the job, where she said, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here, that she had a nightmare that she was trapped in an elevator with R. Kelly and that you came to my rescue. And the you she's referring to is obviously Diddy. And then Brian still asked, so you told the jury that this person who terrorized you, caused you PTSD, was the person who came to your rescue? And there was an objection. It was sustained. Then we see another text exhibit, this one from March 8th of 2019. Mia telling Diddy, "Sending you all the love in the world," heart emoji. And then the defense is saying, "You weren't under Mr. Combs's spell then." And she was like, "Well, I was. It was psychological. It was because Kim had just passed away. I felt horrible." And Brian still is like, "Ma'am, this death happened 5 months earlier." And she says, "Yes. Why did you continue reaching out?" And so that was kind of the gist of where we were going with it. We saw more text exhibits from March 8th. We saw, or excuse me, not this past March 8th, but we saw text exhibits from March 8th of 2018 or 2019, I believe. We saw a text from New Year's Eve from 2019 from Mia to Diddy. We saw another text May 14th of 2020, a text to Diddy 3 years after Mia had left, where Mia said something along the lines of, "Puff, my heart is broken about Dre. You are one of the most influential people. I know it's excruciating. I will always be there." We see another message from Mia to Diddy about Chadwick Boseman's death. Then it just seems like they were just kind of going over text after text after text. And then Mia is asked, "You had the capability of carrying around a phone with you. Did you have any recordings of Mr. Combs berating you?" And Mia responds, "No, he wouldn't allow it." "Do you have any texts with family or friends about what Mr. Combs put you through?" "No, it was all kept a secret." And I felt like the line of questioning was kind of hard to watch at points, right? Because this is alleged victim number 4. This is also, a victim who had talked about how she was sexually abused, sexually assaulted by her boss. But it seems like from the defense's perspective that this didn't even happen, because Brian Steele would say something along the lines of the supposed sexual assault, or this didn't happen to you. You made all of this up. It was really just that intensive of questioning, or that intensive questioning, I should say. Then we saw an exhibit photo, a text from August 29th of 2020. Mia saying, "Life is effing insane. It happens for a reason, that I've been tapping into spirituality." Mia's asked, do you have any random notes about you being brutalized by Mr. Combs? And she says, I don't believe so. She's asked, do you have any notes that Mr. Combs was violent towards you and unprofessional towards you? She said no. Did you write in your notes today that Mr. Combs sexually assaulted you? Mia wrote no. You sent these messages and the Me Too movement was strong for 2.5 years, and these messages were sent in 2020. Why didn't you respond, or that you remembered all the bad times that you had with Mr. Combs? Is it because it's not true? And Mia said, I didn't lie in this courtroom. Everything that I said is true. And again, it was a little harsh to kind of watch, because again, it just seemed like from the defense's perspective that they were really kind of painting Mia out to be this liar, that she made things up, that Mr. Combs or Diddy never sexually assaulted her, that these events didn't happen, because why is she sending these text messages saying love you and Happy New Year's, Merry Christmas, and just sending him good wishes even after the fact? And so Mia's asked constantly, why didn't you say that Mr. Combs bamboozled you? And Mia responds, I was still brainwashed. Steele asks, what does brainwash mean? And Mia says, I was in an environment where highs were high. I would try so hard to get back into that good space. I felt like I had done something horrific by going to mediation, like I did something wrong. I was constantly seeking his approval. He was a constant authority figure, the only authority figure that I guess she had. And so to me, and again, Jesse, you know, we cover these types of cases all the time at Law and Crime about why victims don't come forward. And I felt like watching this cross-examination, it felt like this is the exact reason why victims don't come forward. Brian Steele was, quite frankly, very harsh with her. And I think even the government was kind of pointing it out too, because there were some arguments outside of the presence of the jury where the government accused Brian Steele of yelling at her and being sarcastic with her. The judge didn't necessarily see it that way, but I think other people who were in the gallery, maybe not per se the jurors or anything like that, but really we're seeing just kind of like how much is enough when it comes to just questioning an alleged victim about whether things had actually happened. And so it just seemed like it just kept going in and on to the point they were just throwing her old photos at her, her old texts at her. And I was just kind of like, we're still not at the end of it just yet.
Well, let me ask you a question. I heard a rumor that the jurors are responding quite well to Brian Steele, the way he's been cross-examining these witnesses, including alleged victim number 4, Mia. From what you could tell, how were they responding to this cross?
Yeah, so I did hear kind of the same thing on Friday, where some jurors, yes, were responding kind of well to the defense. But I will say, even today goes, I've heard other reports saying that you could see the jurors yawning and probably, like the rest of us, probably wondering, okay, where is this going? But I know I saw one comment that was like, we need to get Elizabeth kind of seated on a better side where she can see the jury. But unfortunately, still on the same side where I can only see half of their faces. But to me, it was just kind of the same of what I was seeing kind of from where I am inside that courtroom, of just the jurors taking their notes. So I'm not seeing if they're laughing along or yawning or anything like that, but I have heard from other people who do have a better view of the jury that, you know, today seemed like, okay, where are we going with this? How much longer is this witness going to be on the stand? And kind of just all taking it in, everything that's going on with the cross.
Well, there is a lot more that's going to be happening with this cross, and also probably redirect. And I want you to have a great seat in the courtroom. So right now, I know your time is limited. Elizabeth, you're going to go back into the courtroom, report to us later up on Sidebar. We'll do a full recap of the day's events. Elizabeth Millner, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jesse.
But as you know, we're going to continue the conversation. We're going to take your questions regarding this testimony, regarding the cross-examination, regarding the case in general. So submit your questions on YouTube. We'll get them up here. We'll answer them for the next hour. I'm here with Alexis Rosenberg, trial attorney, federal litigator. I'm also here with Joe Richardson, civil rights attorney. Or maybe we don't have Joe. Hopefully we get Joe. And I'm also here with Melba Pearson, civil rights and criminal law attorney, former prosecutor. Great to have you here. Joe will get in later. Okay, so I'm made of questions right now because we have a lot of people who are commenting on this cross-examination. Let me go to the first question that we had coming in here. Okay, we'll start with the video. So Melba, you heard that video, that happy birthday video that apparently came in, very consistent with what the defense is doing, trying to question her credibility about her allegations. This is from Never Be. Do you think that the video was, do you think the video was as big of a deal as defense made it to be? Appears to be her giving a shout out for birthday and the film they were working on. In my opinion, it's nothing. Is it nothing, Melba?
Yeah, so good afternoon and great, always great to be on. And yeah, I agree. It's a bit of nothing because again, the defense has been consistently saying, here's another social media post where you shouted out Diddy. Here's another email or text message where you said something positive to him. So there comes a point where the jury gets the point and now you're beating a dead horse. And when you get to that point, you start to lose points with the jury because they're like, all right, we got it already, move on to the next thing. You're literally making us stay longer because you keep pounding away at the same point. So I think he already made his point 10 different ways from sunrise with all the different text messages and social media posts and all that. The video is nothing new, doesn't add anything more to what's already been said.
See, but here's the thing, and Alexis, this is not a clean case for the prosecution, right? I know how they're building it up towards racketeering. I know how they're building it up for sex trafficking. They need the jury to believe these key alleged victims, and to have text messages or videos or other witness testimony saying, you know, why didn't they step away? Why were they praising Sean Combs? As Elizabeth reported, there was testimony earlier. There's a lot of different factors that go into why alleged victims stay with the people who abuse them and even praise them and even maintain a relationship with them or have consensual sex with them. But it makes it not a clean case for the prosecution. And the defense is exploiting it as they should. As they should. I mean, that's their job to say there are question marks here. And I wonder, is it a question mark that's going to be enough to raise reasonable doubt about whether or not any of this happened or whether or not, you know, there were willing participants, whether it was consensual, whether or not this was a criminal enterprise? Alexis, I think this is a concern for the prosecution.
I think it's a huge concern. I think from a defense strategy, it was excellent. It's an excellent play. They needed to show, and that video did that she's not this wallflower, this weak person, that's really, and what Brian Steele was doing, and by the way, he's an excellent attorney, was showing that her credibility, attacking her credibility, that she's not this weak person. Look at this video, because the text messages don't necessarily show that. That video nails that down. But there is a big question, even though we have, that this isn't inconsistent with the battered woman syndrome or someone who's been abused, the reaction. However, to a juror, why, years later, when she was out of the web, in essence, is she still sending these reassuring, happy texts and videos? Why is that? Is this really a show? Did she make this up?
So now we have Joe Richardson with us, civil rights attorney, to join the conversation. Joe, great to have you here. Let me throw another question in because a lot of people have questions about this. This is a question from P. Smar. Is this all accumulative, or can you see more than one point they are trying to prove? So I think the question is, from the cross-examination of Mia, is it just, oh, she can't be believed, or are they using this to build a more general defense? Maybe it strikes at the credibility of Cassandra Ventura. Maybe it strikes at the heart of the prosecution's case and how they're bringing these charges. I think they're very selective and very strategic in what they're questioning Mia about, and maybe it goes to a larger point of their defense. What do you think?
Yeah, probably so. Good to be with you, Jesse, and everyone else. Hello. Happy Monday. Yeah, I mean, you're not trying to undermine Mia and leave leave everyone else intact. Leave the other witnesses where things really started to get going last week as it pertains to really demonstrating some things that look like crimes and leave them intact. You want to cast doubt over this entire thing, including the notion that perhaps, to the point that's been made, criminal conspiracy, racketeering, we know that he's a woman beater, etc. But maybe this is a little bit of a square peg in a round hole. Maybe this isn't a criminal enterprise at all, particularly when, just like with everyone else, you've got Mia saying things that are very positive about P. Diddy. You got Mia saying things that are positive about him once she's not working for him anymore. Wait, is he still influencing her? Or was it possibly true, the positive things that she had to say? So, yeah, I think you're taking a knack at the whole situation here. So as to say, here are a lot of people that were voluntarily in situations that weren't ideal, and they don't amount to a criminal conspiracy.